I saw something about the DNA testing that they were doing for LL, some rappers.
Oh.
I don't know.
He has a lot of kids apparently, huh?
Well, they didn't have the mothers that they thought they had.
Oh.
One was one of them, and they found cousins, and
Wow.
so they were happy about it.
Happy that they found all their relatives.
Yeah.
So Asher landed in some fertile land, and Naphtali, let's see, what about Naphtali?
It says this tribe was free to roam and was very prolific.
Yeah. Is a doe let loose that bears beautiful fawns. So, I'm not sure what that means.
I had a note that said utters beautiful words.
Yeah, I saw that too, and it just didn't make sense, didn't connect with the other
Mine says that they
commentaries.
had independent spirit
Or
fostered
free.
in the descendants. They're somewhat isolated location in the hill country north of the Sea of Galilee.
And then we get to Joseph. And Joseph gets a whole paragraph. And what Jacob's saying here is, the archers bitterly attacked him, shot at him, and harassed him severely, yet his bow remained unmoved. So think of his brothers attacking him, think of Potiphar's wife attacking him, think of him being in jail. So all these attacks were coming at him, but God used that to bless him. Yet his bow
Oh,
remained
Joshua is part of his descendant.
Mm-hmm.
Gideon, Deborah?
Yep. Blessed by God with some pretty good descendants. And even Samuel. And here's where he hears the blessing. The blessings of your father are mighty beyond the blessings of my parents. May they be on the head of Joseph and the brow of him who is set apart from his brothers. So Joseph finally hears about the blessing. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf.
What's that mean?
And the commentary just said, because of his placement between the larger Judah and Ephraim. So that's why he had to be a wolf. But he doesn't get much of anything. Probably had to fight for everything he had, because remember, Gideon is from the tribe of Benjamin. And we're told that the tribe of Benjamin is probably the smallest tribe out of all of them.
But you have Gideon as Joseph's descendants. As one of Joseph's.
But I thought Gideon was from the tribe of Benjamin.
Mine says that Saul and Jonathan were from the tribe of Benjamin.
I'm gonna have to look that up, because I thought for sure Gideon was from the tribe of Benjamin. Okay, I'll check.
Yeah, you have Judges 6:11 through 12 on your sheet.
I'll get you my phone so you won't get up with me.
It's in your pocket. It's okay.
It's been a long week.
Okay, Judges?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm only at 38%, so I don't have enough.
Okay, let's see here. Oh, what else? So then he says, these are the 12 tribes of Israel. But what he doesn't say is, out of the 12 tribes, Levi doesn't get land, the tribe of Levi, because those are the priests. And Levi is replaced by Joseph's sons Ephraim and Manasseh. So even though we hear these are the 12 tribes, it's not really accurate. They were at the start, but that's not how they ended. So this is what their father said to them as he blessed them, blessing each with a blessing suitable to him. So in some cases, the blessing wasn't really a blessing, they got cursed. But we still see truth in the Bible because it says the blessing suitable to them. They deserved a curse because of what they did, and that's exactly what they got.
And later, the tribes of Israel rejected Solomon's son, Rehoboam, as their king, and that's how the northern and southern kingdom at that point. Israel and Judah.
Yeah, they probably shouldn't have had kings in the first place, but they wanted to be like everybody else in the neighborhood. All right, and then when Jacob finished commanding his sons, he drew his feet up into his bed and breathed his last. And he was gathered up to his people. And Jacob was 147 years old when he died. Not a bad life. All right, Genesis 50, the last chapter. So what is going on in chapter 50? What did you guys see in chapter 50 that you thought was kind of strange?
I'm just gonna use your phone.
Well, it mentions that he was embalmed. I thought that was interesting, that the Egyptians embalmed their dead, but the Israelites or the Hebrews apparently didn't
Right.
until that time, or until this person, until Jacob apparently was the first.
Yeah. Jacob and Joseph were the only Hebrews to be embalmed at that time. And they said that they didn't want to not embalm Jacob because the Egyptians were so hospitable to them, so they just went along with it. Joseph they allowed to be embalmed because he was such a high-ranking Egyptian official. So the brothers figured, why mess? So yeah, those were the only two Jews to be embalmed at that time.
Now, were all the Egyptians involved? Probably not. I bet it was
Only the
just the
rich.
high class.
Yeah.
So that really put Joseph really up,
Yeah,
up.
yeah. Joseph was second in command of all of Egypt.
Boy.
And they mourned you for 70 days.
Long time,
That's a long time.
yeah.
Well, that's why maybe they were really good at it, because, those bodies in those tombs, they look pretty,
Yeah, they look pretty good.
yeah, pretty good for as old as they are.
Yeah. Now, nowadays, some devout Jews, they mourn the father for a whole year. And that's something that happened in Jesus' time too. So remember when that one guy wanted to be Jesus' disciple? And he says, well, first let me go bury my dad. That's why Jesus says, no, forget about it. Because Jesus knew he wouldn't have the guy for a whole year. So Jesus wasn't being mean, he just knew the guy was gonna put it off for a whole year. So find something else to do. But yeah, so it was not normal for the Jews to be involved at that time. What they did with these two guys. And they take Jacob back to the cave at the field at Machpelah, where Abraham first bought the mountainside to bury his wife, and Abraham intended for all his children to be buried there. So that'd probably be a pretty big tomb. But not, of course, everybody didn't make it there, but Jacob is going to. And look at the brothers.
Yeah, they're afraid now, again.
Again. They're afraid again.
And so but when they went to bury him, they took a whole parade with them.
Yeah, a whole bunch of Egyptians and
All the higher
slaves.
ranking officials
Right.
and
And
everybody
military.
but the Pharaoh, I think.
Yeah, and even the military went to make sure that they were safe. So that was a big parade.
And when they got near Jordan, they went through a 7-day mourning period, and the Canaanites thought they must have been somebody very, very special.
Right,
He was.
yeah, he was. And they probably figured if these many Egyptians are coming, we better not mess with these Hebrews.
Yeah.
So the brothers made up a lie,
They made up a lie.
again.
One commentary said that, well, we're not really sure if Jacob didn't tell the brothers this, But you kind of get the idea that the brothers just kind of fell back into their old ways. They were afraid that Joseph was going to throw them out, so they cook up this little lie. But look what Joseph says in verse 19.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. He's saying that only God can judge. Who am I? I'm not here to judge you. Only God can judge you. And also he says, as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring about that many people should be kept alive as they are today. So Joseph realizes that, hey, even if I held this against you guys, God wouldn't approve, because all this turned out for good. I got you here, your whole families. In addition to that, because you sent me into slavery, I was able to come into Egypt and provide food for everybody. Not only the Egyptians, but the Hebrews and all the neighboring countries. So all these people were fed just because Joseph was into slavery. So a large, large number of people. And if we want to take it back even further, that's what God promised to Abraham, that you will be a blessing to many people. And Joseph was. And then Joseph gets wrapped up pretty fast.
I don't understand this one in 24. It says, then Joseph said to his brothers, I am about to die. Weren't his brothers a lot older than him? He lived to be 110, but why would he say something to his brothers that are still living, or I don't understand that.
Yeah, I guess we don't know if all his brothers were there, but we're just told he says to his brothers, I am about to die, but God will visit you and bring you up out of this land to the land that he swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. So here, Joseph is issuing a prophecy of his own, saying that God is going to bring you up out of this land. That he's not telling them that you're going to be slaves, but God will bring you up out of here sooner or later. So he gives them the good news, but not the bad news.
Which is, it's going to be a while,
Yeah.
like a long time.
So Joseph died being 110 years old. They embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt.
Now, but he asked to be taken when they do that. So, okay, so let's speed ahead to Exodus. Does someone think about grabbing Joseph's bones and
So
taking
look in
them?
Exodus, and
Okay.
I believe it tells us that they move him out. They take him home.
It does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it all gets wrapped up pretty nicely.
But we really don't know anything about Joseph after his family came to Egypt.
Where are they?
I mean,
What you mean?
he was to have others, Jacob predicted he'd have other
okay.
children. We know nothing about the rest of that.
No, because it wasn't important. The Bible always gives us what's important.
Okay.
Just like the only part we know about Jesus' early life is when he was in the temple. We don't find out, what he did with Joseph, how good of a carpenter he was. We don't hear any of that because it's really not important. Maybe there were other books written, who knows? But they never became part of the canon.
The canon.
The Bible.
Oh, okay.
Because there were a lot of books that they went through and decided what
Yeah,
was gonna go and what wasn't.
right.
And you can, some of them make interesting reading.
There's the Apocrypha, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah, that,
the extra books in the Catholic Bible.
Right.
The Gospel of St. Thomas is kind of bizarre
Yeah.
in some places.
Yeah, they're interesting.
Oh,
He said in Sunday school something about other writings that authenticate the things in the Bible.
Yeah,
And one of the things, people tried to dispute that there was a star in the heavens when Jesus was born. But Chinese history reports that there was a bright star for no reason. They never figured out where it come from or how. For 4 years it shone.
yeah.
So I figure when the wise men, the kings, or whatever you wanna call them, got there, Jesus might have been 4 years old.
Yeah, they didn't know how long it was before the wise men got to see Jesus.
So he could have been a 4-year-old by the time he
Yeah.
got there.
And some was part of the nativity, like the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I say,
Don't
I,
think so.
I can't remember if I read it or heard it, and that just kind of etched in my memory, that the Bible, you can find all kinds of things to authenticate the Bible.
Yeah.
And that star, you kept thinking, what kind of star is it? Will we ever see it again? In my mind and everything. And then when I heard about the Chinese reporting that there's a star at that time, that lasted 4 years, and they didn't know where it came from or where it went.
Yeah.
Does anyone know how many,
And they did a lot of, their astronomy was pretty good at that time, but it appeared and then disappeared, but I don't know where it came from or where it went to.
just kind of a side note, but does anyone know how many wise men there were?
Well, they say 3, but
This,
Three in the
yeah,
Bible.
but
You really
But that's
don't know.
just because
But by the time
they
you-
don't know.
No.
But the number of people had to travel with them and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
I would think there was an entourage with them.
Yeah.
They were
No, I'm sure.
that important, they were apparently very important men. and-
They had to be more than just 3.
Right, right, and they had.
when I was at the Catholic school years ago, there were pictures of the wise men coming in, but then Jesus was a toddler, the pictures I
Oh,
saw.
oh.
Yeah.
He was standing about this tall at the time, so I don't know. But it wasn't,
Wasn't the baby?
no, it wasn't a baby.
He wasn't in swaddling clothes.
No, he was not.
Did it be a tell up to what age the Hebrew infants were killed, to what age range they thought it was?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, goodbye, Genesis.
Goodbye, Genesis.
Oh, Exodus.
Hello, Exodus.